up? This is Casual Conversations, Blues episode 5, and I'm here with my buddy, Dan Giachetti. What's
How's
up,
it going?
man?
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. So we were just talking about how we both graduated from the same college, AI, which has been people have been from AI has been a common thing on this podcast. I think everyone has been an AI student.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. That's where
And all in the same area and whatnot.
we have the same background in audio, so that would make sense that you would ask us to do it.
Yeah. And but before the podcast, start talking about like education, going to college and high school and whatnot. And you said you said you were surprised that like you were going off about like your brother graduating high school, that you're the only one from going to college. And I remember hearing about how if you feel like taking a year off or two from high school going to college is like the more you wait to go to college, the less likely you are. That's why there's such a push for eventually, because there's like a whole idea that like, oh, if you don't push and go now, they'll probably never go.
You mean like going to college straight out of high school?
Yeah.
So I actually didn't. It's funny that you say that.
Really?
So I was, I was in the military.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 06, and like I said, I had gone to night school, so if I had stayed in, I would have graduated in 03, so it was like 3 years behind on that.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of in a standstill for a while, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and being in the military was kind of always something that was in the back of my mind. I kind of wanted to experience it, I guess. My grandfather had been in the military and so on and so forth through generations, so I just literally up and decided that I was going to do it one day. I walked into the recruiter's office. Within a week, I was in the military, like leaving for basic training and all that. So that's kind of actually how I got the money to go to college too. It wasn't my initial reason for going, but that's what paid for my college. So it's just kind of funny that you say that, because for me, I didn't go to college. I actually had no intentions of going to college whatsoever.
When did you decide you wanted to be like, I want to do audio? Like, was it when did you hear about AI? Then I was like, I think I want to do audio, or did you I want to do audio, then look up NEiA?
No, so I've actually been involved in audio for one way or another since I was like 12 years old, probably even earlier than that. But I remember when I was 12, I started taking guitar lessons. But for me, I never really stuck with anything, so it wasn't. I just had an overwhelming love for music.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was necessarily playing instruments and stuff like that. And then by the time I had gotten older, I have had a few friends that were really into recording and doing audio in that engineer sense rather than being a musician. So I just got to a point in my life I had to make a decision on what I was gonna do and just commit. And I didn't want to be that person that grew up doing something that they didn't love. You know what I mean? Like a sheep, so to speak.
So like, how many years in the military did you? Because you said we started the military, you had no intention, really any intentions. But then, so how far along in it were you like, you know what, I think I'm gonna do it? Is it like after or like while in the military?
So it was definitely while I was in the military. You definitely learn a lot about yourself when you're in the military, going through basic training and all that. It's a tough thing to do. Well, depending on where you go and who you talk to, that might be different. But for me, it was, mentally tough, but it made me kind of look into myself and realize that, like, I have a lot more potential. I guess younger, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. So that brought that confidence in myself, and I finally realized that I could actually do the things that I wanted to do as long as I made a commitment to them. I rose fairly quickly as far as rank goes in the military. That was partly due to some good platoon sergeants and whatnot, but so where I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's cool, dude. We're talking about how far along were you until you figured out you wanted to do audio?
Right. Yeah. So I was married in the military as well. I got married right before I went in, and so I had a daughter, and we unfortunately ended up getting a divorce as well not too long after, and she came back to Massachusetts. So for me, I didn't want to ever leave my daughter behind. If I had stayed in the military, I never would have seen her or any of that.
Yeah.
So I had gotten out, and then it was really crunch time. Like, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And that's when I chose to do audio, and that's where college kind of came into the mix.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, And also, I'm talking in terms about how like you've always been seeing have friends on like the audio side, like taking guitar lessons, and then you see friends be on the audio engineer side of that. Like I was said, like I think I started like, guitar lessons. I was like 15, and I did it for like 2-3 years, and I realized that like I'd always be like I just loved music, and I'd get really into getting out CD, DVD collections where it had making the albums. Like I remember I was really big into Avenged Sevenfold, and they released their album. They had like a track by track talking about each song, talking about the recording of it, and I was like, that's what I really like.
Right,
That's the most interesting fucking part.
Process, yeah.
Yeah, and then another student from AI, the guest of 2 episodes, Derek, he had the beard, walking on barefoot to school with a mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He and I went to the same high school. He's a year above me, and then we were talking in class. He was like, "Hey, I think I'm going to go to like." He was like me, a big fan lover of music. I'm gonna go to the school and teach you how to do the audio engineering side of it. And then I'm in my senior year. I was just kind of like I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was just kind of like when I was like, "You have to go. You got to do something. I'm not gonna let you do nothing." And I was like, Like I only like the subjects I was only ever really strong at with was English. Like I just never really cared enough about classes, because like by the time I hit like sophomore year, I actually started getting friends, and before I just wasn't. I was a kind of a loner kid, so I was like I started cared less about school, and then cared more about social school. But like when question came up and I went to AI, it's like this seems really cool, but when you applied, did they make you have a one-on-one interview with the professor?
The professor? What do you mean?
Any professor from school?
Not that I remember, no.
Because like apparently one of the things like they used to do, and I wish they did it with me, was that when you applied, you had to visit the school and have the whole tutorial thing, and you also put for audio, because there was such a big audio school, they want to like really vet their students. Mm-hmm. You would meet with one like the professors. It would be like Pete, Rick, Rob, anyone else. Then they would interview. They'd ask you questions. You'd ask them questions. You kind of have a conversation about it. And from there, they realize like, I know what this kid's here for the right reason. And you also go like, oh yeah, this kid shouldn't probably go here. He isn't about what you're supposed to be learning about here.
No, you're saying you wish they had done that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because they used to do like I think they had started, because like some people like that like I started with had that one-on-one interview and whatnot. I never got that. I wish I did.
Yeah, I never got that either, but that is a great idea, and that's a very
slacking.
Valid point for that very reason, because there was, unfortunately, a lot of kids at that school, I feel like, that were just in lingo. They didn't really know if they wanted to be there or not.
Yeah, I've seen there's this kid that started, as a freshman when I was a sophomore, he started, like, the first 3 weeks as audio major, I walked up to him, and it's like, hey, man, what's up? It's like, oh, yeah, I just switched to graphic design. I was like, why, man? What's change of heart? I was like, yeah, I thought the school was about recording yourself. I didn't realize that like you're supposed to be recording other people, and I just like wanted to hit him.
Yeah, that doesn't even make sense to me, because you could still go in there and learn how to record yourself. Recording is recording, whether you're doing it, whether I'm recording you or you're recording me or we're recording ourselves. It's all the same process. So
I feel like he was so upset that like you couldn't record yourself as your own project, because like you couldn't, more or less, like
right,
that's why you work out like, hey man, if you record me, I can be your recording project, or I can find you someone else to be yours. Like you make deals.
Right. Yeah. You still could have found a way around that. Yeah. That's why that comment made no sense to me that he said that. But some people have weird reasons for things.
Do you remember like your first like? I think Rec 2 was like my first like actual like big recording project. Because Rec 1 you just had who'd you have for recording 1, 2, and whatnot?
Who was it? Alan.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Kraut.
Yeah.
Kraut. Yeah. That's his last name, right? Kraut.
Yeah.
So I had him for recording 1, and then Rec 2 I actually got to have Al.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So this is before they started like taking away the second floor and whatnot. So
yes.
You had Rec 1 in like Studio F.
Yes. Yeah. The one in the middle of the school there.
Yeah, that was a really sweet setup. I really liked that.
Yeah, I liked the booth that they had in there too. I wish they had those booths in the other like studio A and B and C while it was still there. Well, yeah. C kind of had one like that. But
yeah, it was a little small behind it. I've never had a class in there, so I never really knew how to use it.
In Audio C?
Yeah.
So Audio C that's the thing. Everyone thought, and I don't know what your thoughts on it were, but everyone thought that it was like a recording studio, but it really wasn't. It was just the
voiceover. Right?
Well, no, I forget the controller. What was the name of the controller?
Oh, like the C24 was it?
Yes. So it's just a controller. It's not actually a recording console on it. so many students got that mixed up. So you'd have to really, I mean, you could go in there and like record vocals and stuff, but you were just straight recording on Pro Tools. You weren't actually like, made you feel like you were using a console with the controller because you were still controlling all the channels and the faders and all that stuff. But I mean, I could have done the same thing on a computer.
Did you ever use Studio B when they took away the board and placed it to C24?
I did, yeah. That was like at the very, very end. But I liked it in there better. I thought it was way better in there.
Yeah, I did. It's the original setup for Studio B was so like you had to do so much. Like that's what because you had Al with like the patch everything, right?
And it was such an old console. Like you had to like hit the buttons 5 or 6 times before you could even get it to work.
Sometimes you take the patch in. I had Matt Ellard. I don't know if you were. I think he was gone by the time.
Yeah, I don't remember Matt.
He was like, yeah. Sometimes like you have to fuck the hole. He's like he like made home.
Oh, on the patch boards.
Yeah. They're so like finicky. Did Al teach you how to use tape?
No, I don't think. Did we? I think we might have done it real briefly, maybe like one class on it, but we didn't really go into detail. Damn. Why did you learn how? Yeah,
like he Matt, because I had Ellard for both of them. He went into how to do it, and then like what ended up happening is because did you have to like partner up for your rec project, or did you do it by yourself?
I believe we did it by ourselves, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Oh,
it's 2018. It's been 4 years.
I remember this. I always remember these stories. Like I go through my email, and I look through my old emails, and I see like my old microphone project, and I remember all this, and I did that recently, and. But we did our whole Rec 2 project to tape, and that was like really because we wanted.
Are you talking about like the actual tape machine?
Yeah, using the actual tape machine.
Yeah, no, I don't think we ever did that. I think we briefly had like one class on it, and that was about it.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is a pain in the ass, but when it gets down to that, I feel like it's all about the different type of sound quality. You know what I mean? It's kind of the whole digital analog argument, like which is better. And
the band, my favorite band, just put out an album in November. They did the whole like hour-and-a-half album, so that's a lot of tape they had to buy for all straight to tape.
Yeah, and that's it's like back then. It's like how Beatles and all them recorded straight to tape.
Exactly. And I also figured that like how many times in my life will be able to like record tape? It's such like a novelty thing. They're just slowly like tape machines and tape just slowly dying out. So I was like, I just want to use it now to say I did it and just have the memory.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like I don't really like. If you ask me like set up tape in your studio, I'm not gonna know how to do it. I can look it up again, maybe remember it, but I just want to do it.
No, I wouldn't have a clue how to do it. I actually still have a reel of tape that oh my God, what's the teacher's name? He was one of my favorite teachers. Bald one, the bald head.
Pete.
Yeah, Pete. Pete gave me 2-inch tape. He just had it in class. He was getting rid of it. I think it's only got like 16 minutes or something used on it.
That's dope.
I've kept it. Yeah, I've held on to it. It's like so many times that it was like I was kind of in a struggle where I was like, oh, I could just like sell this for $50, and you know what I mean. But I ended up holding on to it, and you know, in this moment right here, I'm glad that I did because it, like you said, it's definitely a novelty nowadays. I think analog in general is a novelty nowadays.
Fuck yeah, that's why like to me like my ultimate studio situation is just kind of like have like digital based things, but like have like a couple analog like I wouldn't want like a board. I would rather have a whole bunch of and like rack gear. Wow, this term just escaped me.
Yeah, no, you're talking about like in terms of like
compressors
and stuff like that. Yeah,
because like I'd go look at Studio A because like it always disappointed me like how like toward the end of like me working there because I ended up being like the studio manager, like faculty member, and I'd always find people in B no one ever wanted to use A. I'm like, well, like they're all just doing vocals. Like, why don't you like plug this shit into the manly gear? You'll have such nice sounding everything.
Crisp, beautiful sound. I know exactly what you mean.
And it's just it's disappointing.
And again, I think that goes back to like just some of the type, for lack of better terms, of people that were in that school that were just kind of in lingo and they didn't really know what they want to do. And I really feel like Studio A was like, you know, scary in a sense.
That's what I've heard a lot. I've asked people like, how can you use Studio A? It's better. It's like, and they'll say like, oh yeah, I know it's for sure better, but it's just too complicated for me.
Yeah, it was overwhelming because you had to use the patch bay. I personally loved it, but that's what I love about audio. I'm big on analog, even though I have a digital console. I have the X32 with the Behringer. Have you seen that one? It's fairly new.
I think I was looking at like gear the other day because I was thinking about trying to get something, but I think I might have. I think I've seen a couple Behringer things.
It's actually about as big as the Mackie that you have right there.
Yeah.
But it's all digital, so it's 32 channels digital. It's got all the onboard effects and all that stuff.
I always wanted the DM2K in Studio G. Like, that was, like, the ultimate, like, it's a digital console, but, like, because to me, I just love the feeling faders. I have so much more satisfaction actually pushing with faders rather than mouse clicks. So that's why
exactly.
I love that.
But that, again, I think that's where people got confused with C, because they thought just because it had faders that that's what they were using a console.
Oh, for sure.
Which is great. I love controllers because if you don't have the money, then, it definitely gives you that feel of actually still moving the faders and really getting technical with it in that sense. But Tony Schultz has that, the DMK.
It is a studio, right?
The one that was in Studio G. Tony has the same
as studio.
Yeah, in Quincy.
It's been so long since I've been there. I remember I got there really early once, and like half hour there, and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" I hope no one realized. Oh yeah, I'm just working on some song for the Red Sox.
When you were in his class?
Yeah.
On the little tour that he took you to his studio.
Yeah, like it was a nice setup, but like his stories, some of his stories, man.
Yeah, and that's why I said it the way I just said it, because I have to laugh. God forbid he listens to this podcast, but I just kind of felt like he did that more of a plug type of way, like, hey, look at my studio.
You use it? Let me know. We work something out.
Which is cool in the same sense. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like I shouldn't. I'm not knocking him, but I mean, that's a good advertisement, really. You know what I mean? Especially if you're comfortable with new students coming in and using your gear. But for me, and it's just my opinion. But if I had a studio like that, I'd be very careful about who I pick to choose as far as students go, to let them come in and record, whether they were paying me or not. Because the gear is not cheap. So
oh yeah, for sure.
I think at the end, just because of the expensiveness of the gear, it comes down to that.
Like that's another thing I noticed, like in terms of like working at studio ops and seeing students like from like your time to the end, is that like how much people cared about the studios didn't. Like people couldn't even wrap cables properly. I've seen so many like knotted cables, so many boards unnormaled. Like not normal. I don't know why. It was just kind of like, hey man, you didn't normally board, and it was like, what?
Yeah, like, so what?
It's just so disrespectful. Like it's not about you. Like somebody doesn't come in here and they're gonna think, why is this sounding so weird? And like, oh shit, he left the compressor on. He left EQs on the channels. Disrespectful.
And the reason I think it's disrespectful, I agree with you completely, is that's, if you understand audio, even if it in its, or audio engineering, even in its basic sense, if you're sharing a studio with other engineers, you have to have a starting point for everybody, so everybody knows, like, you know what I mean? Because it can get so complicated, like patch boards and even on the analog consoles, all the different routing options that you have. If a button's pushed, it's if you got parallel compression set up and all that stuff, it's stuff you kind of need to know. If the next engineer comes in and that's not what he's trying to do, is not his goal, he needs to know where to start from.
Especially with like old Studio B and that whole like 48 channel board, and like how everything's routed to each other. Especially if you're doing like full session from one full session of band to another full band. That's not normal. You're going to have some really, like, funky shit going on. You're not going to know.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be spending time, like, why does this sound funny? It doesn't sound the same as last time. And then you got to spend 20, 30 minutes figuring out what the last guy had it set to, just so you can change back the settings,
Did you ever get this story that someone stuffed a Fritos bag into the tape machine B?
Someone stuffed a Fritos bag?
Yeah, I was in the session so I went to go in, then we were trying, you basically have to reel the tape from one side to the other first.
Yeah.
And it would go all the way to the other side, but when you start it, it didn't have tension, so it would always start winding, then unwind. It would just stop. And so, do you know like how much tape there is there? Like that's a lot of tape.
It's like hours of tape.
So we had to reel by hand tape from one side, from like the school's reel back to the initial reel that we brought in. while using our hands. It took us an hour of just like the whole like wax on motion for oh god. And once we did, we told them, hey man, something's wrong with that. They closed Studio B and they opened up the tape machine, find a Fritos bag, stuffed in there.
And that's why it was all fucked up, I assume, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's kind of like this. Oh yeah, no, 100%, dude. Okay.
Oh wait,
my language is terrible in the previous podcast. Also, I think this is like the third podcast where I talk about Pete.
Oh yeah. Pete.
I feel like he was like probably like the favorite teachers from among like a lot of students I meet, generally speaking. Like,
Yeah,
I haven't heard anyone talk shit.
Sean McLaughlin was a great teacher.
I never had him. I've only interacted with him at ops. I wish I took him.
He was such a good guy. And Owen.
I never had Owen either.
Really?
No, he. So
man, you got shafted.
When I first went to the school, he was the dude that was talking to like the tour. So that's how I knew him. I was like, I hope to have him as teacher one time.
I think he did my tour too.
I had I was thinking like back, cause like I had like a lot of my favorite teachers weren't there by the end of the day. Like my first recording teacher was Matt Elliott. He ended up switching to go to Berkeley, and one of the things I loved him, he actually, I found this out when I was midway through Rec 2 that he actually recorded one of my favorite hardcore albums, which is that poster right there. Is this band called Converge. Yeah, its album's Jane Doe, and it was like really.
So he recorded that specific album.
Recorded it and recorded, produced, and mixed it.
That's awesome.
And he did like a release before this album, the one after it. But it was just kind of like I loved it so much. And I went to class one day, and when I was just kind of setting up recording, I just walked up to him. It was kind of like, "Hey, I heard you did this album by Converge." He was like, "Yeah, it's all right." I'm like, "Oh my god, I want to ask him about it, but like this, it's not the appropriate time."
Yeah, like you don't want to be that annoying fan. Like, oh my god.
And that was like, kind of like my first. Actually, it was because I was about to say that was like my first time I talked to the teacher. I'm like, "Oh my god, they've." Like what kind of world they've been in, like where they've been. He's my teacher. Like, but I actually think back to another audio teacher I had named Sean Slade. I don't know if you ever had him.
No. I don't remember him either.
He's my first teacher I had there. Like first class was for the audio business class.
Yeah.
Music business one. And I asked him because he did an album with Hole, which is Courtney Love's band. He was married to Kurt Cobain. And I asked him like, "Hey, did you ever meet Kurt Cobain? You did the album?" And he was like, "Oh, dude, not only did I meet Kurt Cobain, I jammed with him." And I'm like, holy shit!
That's crazy, man. A lot of our teachers did some good stuff. I think, if I remember correctly, Pete, and it was before they really got famous, but I think Pete did some stuff with Green Day.
Oh, shit.
I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correct, I could be wrong on that, but one of the teachers from our school, I know for a fact, did something with Green Day. I'm pretty sure it was Pete.
Oh, no.
You know, it was when they were on their way up. Like, he even told us that. He's like, I'm trying to brag.
He was also the first teacher to tell students, like, at least when I went there, it's like, hey, if you're going to audio, you got to learn video stuff, too. Because, the audio guy makes, like, 500 and the video guy makes 5,000. Like, some crazy, like, ratio like that. That's probably not it. But, like, essentially,
I think the ratio is a little closer than that. Well, maybe nowadays, anyway. It could have been different back then, though, too. I mean, these guys are... been there, done that,
Yeah. But like that's ever since I took one video class, but it was fucked up for me because it was a video class, but you only use a camera though, like just a basic like still camera, not like a video camera.
What, like a little Canon, like?
Yeah, like one of the
T5 or something.
T3Is, yeah. And I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do videos." Like, yeah, so just take pictures. You need to focus on getting like the right shot before you can actually work on getting video. I'm like, "Oh, I see what you mean," but like. I want to learn video. This is. I mean, understand like why that would be like cause the first video class you would take because that does make sense. I did have a lot of fun with that class. I really liked that class. It was really funny. It was kind of like, how like when you took not like a minor, but like when you're gen eds, like like some of your English classes or like whatnot. That's kind of what it felt like to me because there wasn't like really intense projects. There was more like, hey, go take 5 pictures like this. Go take 5 pictures like that.
Right.
And it was just really fun, like getting settings. I went home one weekend to Rhode Island and just kept taking pictures of my friends because they're supposed to be like candid photos. A lot of.
I think I've gotten more into video or at least I shouldn't say gotten into it, but I've gotten more respect for it. Like after college and stuff, just because I see how much it really does go together, audio and video, So I think he was right. Probably should have taken some video classes, but I never did.
I also that's why like my couple of my favorite projects toward like later half or like the video projects of like, yeah, you have to fill in all the sound effects, the background noise, sound effects just right. ADR wasn't like I had more fun like making silly voices with it, but like in terms of like even with that though, I have to figure it out. Like, hey man, I need you to say it a little bit slow. You're getting this part slightly off. I need you to do this, and just directing more is. Because I try not to with like some of my projects, try not to do all myself. Because like half being an audio engineer is how to like direct other people to do shit. So you mean like you just do it alone. It's like you're not really learning that like communication, which is something that I really like the school for, too. Is that like you sometimes if you don't know, you can go to the studio across like, hey man, having stuck with this, can you help me out?
Yeah, that school was definitely really good for that. And there was a lot of people in there that would definitely come help you out if you needed it. Or the students that were ahead of me anyway. That's how I felt.
I remember there was one time in A, I just could not figure out like why the faders weren't corresponding with the faders weren't corresponding with Pro Tools or whatnot. And I went to ask Garfield after like trying to figure out for 2 hours. Just, oh dude, hit this one button because he happened to be in C.
It's always one button. It's always one button.
I've had so many times where I'd be like at studio, it's like, hey, I can't get sound out of A, and it's just kind of like, okay, there's these 4 specific buttons you have to do, and if you didn't hit all 4, you're not gonna get sound. It's like, oh, this one button right here, you forgot that one. It's like shit.
Yeah, always one button. It's the dreaded one button curse of audio.
Also, all the patches, like, oh, well, I can't do it. Like, well, did you follow your signal? Because, like, truthfully, once I understood the idea and concept of like signal flow. I mean, they teach you it all throughout, but like once I like became one with the signal flow, I felt like I could help anyone in any of the studios. Like, hey, are you sure you're signaling this right? Okay, let's start from here. Step 1, you're going from your mic here, so it should be coming here, and I can just plug it directly into Pro Tools. Okay, cool. So what? Like, not always putting it through other gears, so it's just kind of like, you put it in one, you put this in and out, not an in, so it's
signal flow is one of the most important things in audio. Absolutely. I was a big what's the word I'm looking for? Big supporter of signal flow and figuring that out first, because you're absolutely right. Once you figure that out, it just everything else kind of flows so much better.
Because people ask, I think this is broken. It's like, why? It's like, you can't get sound of it. Like, you're not doing it right. That's why.
Right, your signal flow is wrong. You're sending it to the wrong place. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I also remember there was time too where people used to say, "Hey man, do you mind coming into the studio and checking out my mix? So I want to make sure it's right." And they actually cared about like getting more like a second opinion on it, and then versus kind of like, oh, I just finished the mix, and like an hour, and like, did you really do it? Or did you half-ass? Like, nobody really cared about it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that goes back to what you were saying earlier about
vetting the students and whatnot. Like, if you're like trying to really serious about it. Or?
Well, no, the kids who like wanted to go there to record themselves, like those kids weren't the kids that were getting those second opinions. You know what I mean? And I think it's very important to have more than one ear on a project, any project, regardless of how long you've been in the industry and how good you are. I think it's it's just common practice as far as I understand it.
Fuck yeah, dude. There's because a lot of people complain about the school and whatnot. But in terms of like, because I'd rather not talk about specific this teacher too much. But like for my internship classes, I felt like I got no support because I had the one teacher who I'll mention after.
That's fine. I'm just trying to grasp.
His only advice was like, oh yeah, just show up at their studio and ask them to buy them a cup of coffee and ask them questions.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And for me, like, I got no support from that guy. I was like, hey man, what should I do? He's like, oh, just that same advice over and over. Because I had him 3 times.
Was he more of he wasn't a studio teacher, right?
Nope. I also heard a rumor that he also taught Tech 1. And that, like, to learn knowledge for his Tech 1 class, he sat in on another teacher's Tech 1 class, took notes, and just taught those notes. So it's like, if you don't really know the subject that well,
that's crazy. I didn't know all that. I'm glad I didn't have him for Tech 1, but audio's not something you can just teach if you don't know what you're talking about, for sure.
Yeah, that's why, and that's kind of like why, like, when people complain about the school, especially if they're in audio, like, oh yeah, you didn't learn shit. I'm like, are you sure? Because I learned, I could walk into, like, I'm not saying I'll be like really extremely proficient, but I could walk in like any studio, like audio setting, and like, okay, man, I could totally help you out. But I may not be perfect for you, but like, I could totally help you out with doing, because I especially in like live scenarios, I'm not very bad at live in studios, and like totally can help you out. But people are like, oh yeah, none of these skills help. I'm like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about like the school's education.
About what?
But the school's like the knowledge you got learned from the school. Like, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. Well, personally, I think whatever knowledge you like, regardless of what school you go to, whatever knowledge you gain from something is completely on you.
Exactly.
All teachers have different styles, but the information is there, and it's up to you to go and do your projects and study at home. Like, they're just, which in a sense is kind of screwed up if you think about how much college is, because I think college really for me was just, they gave me the paths and the doors to open to get to where I wanted to go. Am I an expert on audio?
No.
Definitely not. But I have a lot more knowledge of it now than when I started. So, end goal reached, I guess, as long as you get some more knowledge.
Because I think the only other audio school I looked at was one in Rhode Island, and they put you in a studio setting until your 6th or 7th semester. And I was like, fuck that. AI gets me in like studio setting 2nd semester.
Yeah, that's that's a different way of going about it, but I know that there are schools out there that do that.
I almost went. My mom was talking about me going to full state in Florida. I'm like, nope, can't. I don't think I can go to Florida. That's too far. Because I'm from Rhode Island, so it's way too far from home. I couldn't go home for a week, and I'm just when I'm feeling shitty.
Yeah, you're a homebody, huh?
Yeah. Although I was talking about before, I was like, you know what? Just get on me. I would I would move to California for a year or two just to say I went, just see what that's all about.
Right.
And that's me like going to a new culture because I'm just lazy American, don't want to move out of the country.
Yeah, no, you're comfortable where you're at, and a lot of people get like that. I personally love to travel. I love the heat. I love Florida. I've only been to Cali for the audio convention, actually.
I don't know. That's kind of just like I've always wanted to like love being in a touring band because I would like because that's how I thought of a way like, well, I can travel the country if I'm in a touring band.
For sure.
That was kind of the way I was kind of like, that's all travel. Just being in a band hasn't worked out for me yet, but so I'll try it.
That's all right, man. Keep at it. Everyone, who's it? Morgan Freeman didn't get a good acting job until he was like in his 40s.
I was thinking about too, like another like old dude is like, I don't know, actually I don't know how old he is, but Liam Neeson. Like I don't know like him to be in any like movies. I don't know him before Taken at all. Besides like him before Taken just didn't seem like it was a thing. So I'm like wondering how many acting.
Schindler's List?
I've never seen Schindler's List. I've always heard about it.
Yeah, he's in that. I'm pretty sure he's in that, right? Yeah, I think he is.
I'll look it up because I still need to see the movie. I just saw like Saving Private Ryan for the first time like maybe like 6 months ago.
Really?
I feel like because I was like, oh dude, look at this movie Fury. He's like, it's the new Saving Private Ryan. I'm like, well, I should probably see what they're talking about first before I can confirm that.
I can see why they say that. I definitely think. Well, no, I can't. Now I sit here and think about it. Yeah, they were pretty
different. Yeah,
they were both pretty intense anyway.
I think that's how they're both just as intense, but like. I don't know, man. Like, that's just. Do you know how like you see like shitty remakes? You're like, oh, it's not bad, but like it's nowhere near the original.
Hurt Locker.
I've never seen that. I've been trying to watch. I haven't been watching movies at all. Man.
I think I've just seen a lot of military movies and stuff, just kind of because of my background. Like, I mean, when you indulge yourself in something, in anything in life, any aspects of life, you just kind of live and breathe that, especially in the military if you're doing it every day. So
what is Black Hawk Down? Is that another one? I think I saw that like shortly after I watched the Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, Black Hawk Down's a good one. Hurt Locker, though, I was saying like one of those movies that just kind of didn't get it right, you know.
Yeah. I did hear about that because like I've never seen the movie, but I hear like that's part of like the back actually of it. Like,
it was a good movie by all entertainment standards, but I don't think it was a Saving Private Ryan or a Fury movie by any means.
No, like I go get my haircut now. People are like, oh yeah, you want the Fury haircut? I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. Because like every time I decide to do something, like I had you remember like I had like the shaved sides with the little ponytail in the back. Not
Yeah.
like, exactly a man bun, but like I wanted to be the guy from Vikings. As soon as I was doing that, and I started noticing how many other people were doing that, I'm like, well, god damn it! I didn't mean to jump on a bandwagon. I just wanted to be the guy from Vikings.
That's the thing, is like no matter what you do, like you're jumping on a bandwagon.
Well, I hear that like when you get a car,
I think
you start seeing everyone else who drives the same car as you.
Yeah, there's a name for that too, some type of effect, and I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's funny because I've heard that and I notice it too. Like, I just got a Ford Explorer not too long ago, and yeah, I see Ford Explorers everywhere now.
Well, I don't know how to drive, so when I go back to Rhode Island, my buddies just pick me up to go to places.
You don't drive?
Nope.
No kidding.
Yeah, dude, I never.
I always find that just like fascinating. Like, what made you not?
It's not by choice. I mean, like the first chance to take driver's ed, and it was in high school, and my girlfriend at the time was like, oh hey, my mom said that the one that you learn to do driver's ed over 2 weeks got filled up, or there's this one in Providence that you go to every single night, and that's when you be ready for your driver's permit and whatnot. I was like, no, I don't want to go there every single night. And then from there, I was like, I'll just have a buddy teach me. But since I've graduated high school, I've just been consistently out here. So like, so every time I go back, hey, I'll teach you how to drive. I'm never home long enough to do that. And
and you don't really need a license out here in Boston.
So that's kind of like the other thing too. Like that's why I'm not so meaty, because it's one of those things like, it's a skill. Like regardless if I like how quickly I get the license, I should still just know how to fucking drive. But I haven't gotten it. Also, I just haven't had my glasses all this whole time too. Like I tried to drive twice with ex-wife of my mom's, and I had no glasses at the time, so like I was like really squinting and shit. And I don't think they understood how bad my vision was. I ended up hitting, like the sign you put in your front yards, like for voting for so and so, voting for mayor or whatnot. There was one at the end of a driveway, kind of like bent over. I went there to like pull up to a curb, and I hit the sign. And then he was like, yeah, dude, we should probably switch.
That's funny. I've just always found it weird because I don't know. I just grew up and I got my license and I followed that, things you need to do when you turn certain ages. So it's just, I always find it odd a bit when I find out that people don't know how to drive.
Well, that's kind of one of the things, like if I ever like actually want to move to California, I'm going to need to learn how to drive now, because like everything's just so far from each other.
Yeah. I think Boston, New York. I've never been on Chicago like subways or anything like that, but our transportation is probably like the most, I guess, advanced. Don't quote me on that, but like California Boston, doesn't have like a good public transportation.
Yeah, every time you see like the subways in New York and like movies and television and whatnot, they're always like looking shitty and like not. When you go to like the MBTA for Boston, it looks shiny, it looks new. Even the older ones look new and nice. And then also like the bus.
But that's because like I guess that's what I'm trying to say is we've had public transportation for longer than most cities.
Really, we had it for longer.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were. I'd have to Google it, but
damn.
Just I don't know, for whatever reason out in at least out in LA, the public transportation is crazy. Buses only come like. To be honest, I don't even remember seeing a bus when I was out there, or a public transportation bus anyway. They just don't come as often as
us, because like if I wait for 57, you miss your bus. And you're like, oh wait, I have to wait another like 10, 15 minutes and nothing will show up.
Yeah, and out in California, you'd have to wait like another 45 minutes to an hour or something like that.
So I also like I don't like buses here, just because like when you wait by when it's really packed and you have to wait by like the middle of the bus where the second set of doors is, because how it comes in, you always get shoved. So if like I get shoved in front of that door, I'm always getting shoved into other people at every single stop.
Yeah, well,
and also every time I would need a bus, like people ask why I don't take a bus home from my job because I walk an hour back. It's like, oh, because like it's when everyone's crowding on the bus, and just a crowded bus is so much worse than a crowded T.
Really?
I've been because like maybe it's because like my first weekend in Boston when Brookline, when I say the dorms, well, all the RAs gathered a whole bunch of students. Like, hey, we're going to the city. We're going to show you around the city and show cool things. And on the way back, the RAs didn't realize it was a Red Sox game, and we passed by Fenway on the D line, and it got uber cramped.
Oh yeah.
So it was just kind of like doing that like my first night, and it's like, oh, this is probably a usual thing. It's like this is like this. If this is the worst, I can deal with it. But just, I also just think because the buses are smaller, so like to me they get cramped worse.
Right. But for me, if say, because you know how Boston's transportation is, it can break down and quite a lot.
Yeah.
So getting stuck on a bus where I could essentially pull the emergency exit and be out on the street and go wherever I want to go or need to go.
Oh yeah.
Feels way better to me than being stuck in the middle of a tunnel on a train, and God knows what's happening, and all of a sudden you can't get out and there's nowhere to run.
I feel that.
I guess in a fear sense, I'd rather be stuck on a crowded bus than a crowded train.
So speaking of like crazy like things that just kind of like break down, I was trying to catch a train home from like South Station, and instead of like breaking down, I get on like as soon as I get on it, the T driver lady starts beefing with this pregnant chick in like the middle section of it. They just start yelling at each other, and like she gets off the seat and then runs up, starts yelling in her face, and then like the pregnant lady stands up, she slaps the lady down. And then
the bus driver slaps the pregnant lady?
Yep. And then the doors are open while this is all happening. And I'm like, I just got up and I was like, just left because like there were like a whole bunch of like people who just witnessed that. I was like, Mom, I can't come as soon as I want. I was like, well, T breakdown. Like, nope. Pregnant lady got slapped by the T driver.
Wow.
And
yeah, I've had some run-ins with some pretty angry T bus drivers. I remember this one time. The bus was like stopped. The lady got off the bus and was smoking a cigarette. So I was just standing there, like minding my own business or whatnot. And just like very rudely, she's like, "You can go on the bus." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Like I didn't know." So I didn't have like the card that they have the card. You can just tap it now.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have that. I was paying in cash, and of course I walk on the bus and like the cash machine isn't working, and so I just kind of stopped and like looked at her, and she got all like pissed off and was like. Walked on the bus, and I was like, I was kind of a smart ass. I was like, sorry for making you do your job. And she's like, excuse me? I'm like, well, look, like, I don't mind that you take a break, but don't get mad at me that you told me I could get on the bus and the thing doesn't work. Like, it's not my fault,
Yeah, especially with, like, the tax cards. Because, like, I've seen so many situations where it's like, I go on with cash, like, hey, gotta pay with this. Like, just get on. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to deal with it because the machines, well, now that they got the cards and stuff, I feel like they don't pay too much attention.
Well, like because like when you just have to like I wasn't trying to pay just for my ride because like if you put money on your card and pay with the card you save like a quarter, but
right.
Whatever.
Which if you use it all the time adds up and it's great, but for someone like myself who uses it, I don't know, maybe once every 2 years, it's that extra 25 cents isn't worth it.
Exactly, but like I was like because you have to like tap it. Press the button, tap it again, start your money, and then tap it again. It's just so much, and it's like, just get on. I don't want to feel like do it with all your tapping.
Do you know if they've gone over to the cards now? Just the cards?
No, so you can.
It's 2018. They would have, but
no,
it's not for buses,
still,
right?
You can still know, but like I think
for trains, right? Though.
No, it's cash for both because I never use buses. I only use like the subways. So
right, but they have the little kiosks now at the trains. You put your cash in, and they give you a card.
Not all of them though.
Really?
So it's. At the D line, like that's why I always loved living in the dorms because there's always access to D line, which always had that thing. But they gave me free cards anyway, so it didn't really matter as much. But when you go to the C line and B line, like I haven't seen any of those kiosks in the B line. There's a couple in the C line that I've seen like in the Coolidge Corner or whatnot, but on the B line there's nothing.
Huh? Interesting. Figured 2018 they would have switched over that now.
Right, I think it's the reason why they don't have it on the B line, like all those kiosks on the B lines, is because like they're all like so like right next to the street and whatnot, so any accident could like mess up or like anyone can just. I don't know. There's also a lot more stops in the B line too, so they have that a lot more kiosks. They probably don't want like, well, we don't want to like force people to go to this stop and cause a lot of traffic at this stop because this is the one with the kiosk.
Yeah, for sure.
There's. I don't know, like I never really used public transport in Rhode Island just because, like I said, I was always using people's cars. So when I moved here, it was such like a whole new lifestyle. And so like when I go home rarely, it's always like, oh, I want a car. This is so weird. I'm never in cars anymore.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like what I was saying. Like if you go anywhere else, the public transportation is just different from Boston. I think as far as I know from where I've traveled and been, that Boston, New York. probably have the biggest, most active public transportation.
That's interesting. Yeah, I need to. Like I said, I want to tour more, so I can just travel more. Because I mean, I've been to. I've left the country. I went to the Philippines once. That's like the farthest I've been, but like I haven't done anything crazy since.
Your
Filipino.
dad is Filipino, right?
Yeah. Most people don't believe that. It's just kind of like
I remember seeing pictures of him, so I know.
Oh hell yeah, dude! But sometimes like, oh yeah, dude, like you have Filipinos, like, hey, dude, check this picture. And I pull like, there's one I pull out. This me next to my dad, next to my grandfather, and it's just all like me and two like really Asian Filipino dudes.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like when I sit, some people like that dude's totally Filipino. How do you know? I was like, I know, and then just comes up a conversation like, oh yeah, I'm doing Filipino. I'm like, I knew it. I was watching a podcast. I was like girl. It's usually like sometimes like do you know the comedian Bobby Lee by chance? He was on Mad TV, like the little Asian dude.
I don't. I might have seen him before, but I don't know the name.
I was watching it, like he has a podcast. I was watching his podcast, and he has like this really hot girlfriend. I was like, you know what? She looks Spanish, but like she's 100% sure she's Filipino. But like I don't care to look up. Then she was like, oh yeah, but I come from the Philippines. I'm like, got it.
Nice.
It's because like it's very. You remember I used to watch Mind Mencia and watch Carlos Mencia stand up. He called like Filipinos the Mexicans of the Asian community. And I'm like, yep.
I remember that. I used to watch him when he first came around. I don't know. I kind of got sick of him after.
I watched. So there's this video of Joe Rogan getting on stage when he's at a comedy club and just talking mad shit to his face because Carlos Mencia apparently. You hear about the things that he steals jokes from people. You can look at his specials. You can see that where he's stealing jokes from like other people. I can't remember who.
And you're talking about Carlos Mencia stealing the jokes?
Yeah, he stole like a lot of jokes. If you look at his specials, I want to say he stole a Bill Cosby joke.
I think I do kind of remember there being some like big hype around that.
So, but like when he used to play like comedy clubs and whatnot, what he would do is he would look up who the person who's coming up after him, and then he would end his set. Carlos Mencia would end his set with their big joke, so they can't do their joke during their set.
So not only would he steal the jokes, but he'd purposely tell the biggest joke right before that artist came on. That's just a dickhead move.
And Carlos Mencia is like isn't even his real name. He's not even like anything. I don't know if he's because I don't think he's either Mexican or anything like really. He's not really even that Spanish.
Maybe not Spanish, but I definitely.
His
ethnicity is definitely something of someone of darker skin though.
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah. Oh yeah, but like he
he's
wasn't.
not.
Yeah, because apparently like, he changed his. Man, I can't even remember because like that was part of what Joe Rogan was saying because he's went on stage, started talking matches. Like everyone here, like because the one thing I've learned from like listening to Joe Rogan podcasts is that like the whole comedy club store that's like all the people who play there. It's like a big, huge community, and so they all know each other and whatnot. And they're talking like, hey, dude, everyone here knows you steal jokes. Everyone, like, he's just egging them on. That's one of the things that he just starts dropping a whole bunch of facts. Like, nobody likes you. Your whole persona's fake. Your name's not even Carlos. You're not even, like, Mexican. Stop lying. Like, he just started talking a whole bunch of shit. And it's fucked up to me.
I fucking love Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah, dude, he's so real.
I know.
There's another thing that's like Joe Rogan just trolling people. He was at some martial arts thing. I don't think it was the UFC, and this big Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy just talking a whole bunch of shit to Joe Rogan about how he smokes weed, and just Joe Rogan is I think at times also really stoned, just dropping a whole bunch of weed facts at him, like, oh, you know this, you know that, like, no, you're wrong about this and that, and the guy's like, oh, Rogan, you're a piece of shit, you don't take this seriously, you make a joke of us all, and I was like, nah, dude, I respect the shit out of you, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I don't know what you're talking about, just because I smoke weed doesn't mean shit.
So what, the guy thought because Joe smoked weed that he didn't like that he was being disrespectful to jiu-jitsu?
Like disrespectful, or just didn't take it seriously.
That's odd.
Have you ever seen any of the episodes with Eddie Bravo, like the big conspiracy theory guy and Joe Rogan? Like the flat Earth guy.
No, I don't think I have.
Well, it's crazy about him because like
I follow Joe Rogan more for like the UFC stuff and then like just like stand-up comedy and stuff like that.
So there's a guy on his show, Eddie Bravo. Like I thought he was just like I didn't know. I thought he was just one of Joe Rogan's friends.
On his podcast, you mean?
Yeah, on his podcast.
I've just recently gotten
into
that.
But I just thought he was like just some random dude on Joe Rogan's friend, like maybe a comedian. My friend actually informed me that like he created his whole branch of like jiu-jitsu that's more tailored for UFC martial art and striking. Cause
Joe Rogan did.
no, his friend Eddie Bravo,
Okay.
and he was covered her 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and it's like this regular Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this is his own brand. He trains Tony Ferguson.
Really?
Yeah, yes. Tony Ferguson. If you see him as if you're walking out, I think Eddie Bravo is one of the guys there. There's if you have Fight Pass, you can look up the EBI tournament, which is Eddie Bravo International. And so apparently the difference is with that is that so when you like go down and submit people, instead of just holding them down and like trying to like crank out their joints, that you'd be holding them down, but then like throwing down strikes, throwing like an elbow, throwing down some hands. Because normal jiu-jitsu, you can't even. It's all just grappling. Because I do want to take jiu-jitsu.
I am not big into jiu-jitsu, so I can't really speak too much on it.
Oh well, yeah.
I honestly thought it was. I mean, it is a form of martial arts, but I guess I thought it was more contact, I guess, than just grappling.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought too. I had my friend that told me that, but they apparently just started tournaments where like you can only like you can only throw like open hands when you do like distractions, but like there's no like actual contact because it's more like wrestling tournaments.
So nobody really like punches you in the face or anything.
No. You might get slapped and you might get slapped in the face and whatnot now, but
sounds funny when you say it like that. You might get slapped, but
it's because like just like growing up in comedy, it's always like it's always like you get slapped in the face. That's like the comedy thing, and like when you see like cartoons and whatnot, yeah.
Especially in like a mixed martial arts, getting slapped in the face just doesn't somehow seem like it's gonna really accomplish too much.
Yeah, because that's because I keep looking at martial arts. Because I've been wanting to take one, but like I've just haven't had the time or the money to do so. With this,
it's expensive.
This job. Yeah, because I wanted to. Because if I move back to Rhode Island, I'll be taking jiu-jitsu with my friends because that's the one I take. But if it's just me, I wanted to take like kickboxing or like more specifically Muay Thai if possible. Just because it's some really intense
Muay
shit.
Thai. Absolutely. I would I took karate and stuff a little bit when I was a kid, and then put my daughter through karate. She didn't really take to it too much. She's too much of a sweetheart. She's a lover, not a fighter. So, where was I going with that? Lost my train of thought again. I'm sorry.
That's cool. I wasn't really into wrestling, but I watched something else, and Goldberg said, "Yeah, like I'm already starting my kid in like Muay Thai, doing the whole you break your bones so they could like something reinforcement, like some type of bone training where like you start young, crack a bone so like just grow back strong, so you have harder."
I think I know what you're talking about. And I don't know too much about it, but I'm not sure if you actually like break the bones. But
I think it cracked them. Like, you do something with them.
Bruce Lee used to do it, and I believe Jackie Chan too. But like, they take like bamboo sticks, and if you continuously like, you don't smash yourself in the chin, so to speak. You know what I mean? But you do kind of do it hard enough, and the more you do it, like callous feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A guy who does construction all day is on his feet. Like his feet get callous, so he can. It can deal with that stress, I guess, for lack of better terms, right now.
Yeah.
But the same with doing that, like your shins and stuff will become almost immune to the pain compared to like a normal person. You'd be able to handle more than someone else.
Well, apparently in Thailand, what they do is that like if you start doing training at a young age, they actually have you kicking those they have these small trees. I don't know if they're bamboo, like there's some type of tree. They just kick them all day and they can't stop kicking until it's down.
Right.
And then I heard somebody else what they had to do is they had to take a big like face cloth and hold it over a bucket of water, and they keep soaking the face cloth and keep wringing it out to like break their wrists and shit like that. Like they go hard.
Yeah, I can see how that would work. I never would have even thought of that, but I can definitely see how that works. And it's funny, like, you know, all types of different styles and stuff. You can find stuff like that. It's like just like little odd things that really
like the whole wax on wax off thing.
Exactly, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. Well, that's why I feel like I've been really into like hard to like samurai shit lately. I'm reading this like old book. I remember before, like one of the things that fascinates me about samurais, particularly, is that like every time you see one fight, one of the things they do, they announce their sword style, because like there are just so many arts of just learning like swords and swordsmanship and style and whatnot. And that's just so interesting. Like all like different nuances and stances. Like how similar are they, but yet how different are they at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about just the different styles, right?
Different style of swords, yeah, and sometimes like the dude at Reading Battle is the only one to ever use two swords. Like because they used to carry two swords, like the shorter and the longer one, and most people would just use the long one only. But he was like, no, you have to use every tool that you have available. So like, there's one where he just like kept spinning it, the small one in his hand as a distraction, and then just threw it and just stabs someone in the chest. Also, he's killed a lot of people with just a wooden sword. Like, they'll spar. He'll go to a place. Hey, I want to fight your toughest student, if not your master. And when he's like fighting down the students, he's just knocking him on the head. Like, yeah, dude, he's dead. And this is all like based. Like, this is like based off his actual, like, maybe not everything, because it's it's made to like a move like novel like, but like all the common known facts is he's like a real like badass.
Yeah, novels can. Everyone exaggerates a little bit.
Yeah. But like,
well, to some extent, depending on what story it is, I guess.
Yeah. But it's just, I mean, like, that back then was clearly more intense when you're like, because like testing each other's styles, you could be dead by the end of the sparring match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that definitely changes things.
And that's why I've kind of like, because me liking the UFC is only like in like the last year. I've kind of like, I've had friends who like started watching UFC. I started hanging out on them. Like, you know what? I'll hang out with you guys. I think the first fight, first I started watching my friends was Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. First of all, I didn't agree with Conor winning. He ran away a lot.
But that's, I mean,
and I understand why, because like what happened when the last time they fought, and so I understand why. It's just kind of like, it wasn't like as, I guess I wanted to. There's some fights like, oh yeah, you want to like really duke it out, but you don't, because every fight's gonna be, because like I like this is the thing people talk about, like, oh yeah, I hate when people they're just lying on the ground with each other, like, well, that's actually really intense. Those are really intense moments.
It is, yeah, physically wise, absolutely, and that's kind of what I was just gonna say is, you got the different styles of fighting, and then within each of those styles of fighting, every fighter has his own strategy,
And also, like, even with the weight classes too, it's kind of like it's like, even with each, like, you can see someone doing Muay Thai and like the featherweight versus how they would do it in like a light heavyweight, just because like stamina, like the body types and shit, like one's to be faster. Did you by chance see the Demetrius Johnson defend his title for the 14th time, and he like suplexed the guy into an armbar?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, dude, that was like back in
recent.
Yeah, I want to say it was, I think, a week or two after the Mayweather-McGregor fight, and he was breaking a record because he had defended his title 14 times in a row. Mm-hmm. I think the last one was, I think they said, in like a little side bubble, said Anderson Silva did 13 times.
Yeah.
And how it was 5 rounds. He was, regardless, he was going to win, but like how he ended, it's just kind of like, like how many styles of like, I might like, because clearly by the end, but by getting into that like armbar jiu-jitsu position, then like the wrestling, throwing up in the air, suplexing him, and then just switching between your styles if you're a multi-style guy versus someone who's just such an expert at just one, I guess. I don't know. I kind of just went off on a tangent.
No, that's good. And, no, I totally get what you're saying. And I just had a thought. Mm-hmm. Who was it? Yeah, Bruce Lee actually said that he'd be more scared of a guy who practiced one move 1,000 times than a guy who practiced 1,000 moves 10 times.
100%.
Definitely going to be more accurate, I guess.
Oh yeah. So that's kind of like the difference. Like, I thought about like, if I were younger, what would I do? Like? Would I rather, like, as if I were like trying the whole thing, like, what style would I learn, or would I just kind of learn too? Because like I always ask like my friends who are into fighting. Some friends, like, one style I would be scared of someone, so they practice is Taekwondo. I don't think I don't ever want to learn Taekwondo, just because in terms like it's only kicking. Yeah. I would want to use my arm, like throw punch suits, use everything disposable. Like, cause that's what Joe Rogan. People people think, oh yeah, Joe Rogan's a fighter. Like, no, he didn't never fought in the UFC, but he's taken Taekwondo like a lot of his life. So he's a fighter in that regards, but he's not a competing in the UFC.
Competitor.
Yeah, competitor.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, if you were to take, like, a fighting style, like, have you, like, you said you take a little karate before. Yeah. But, have you taken anything since that?
I tried it again a little bit when, my daughter went through it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I said, it's expensive, man, so.
Yeah. If you were to go back, if you were to, like, take any style, would you go into, like, karate, or would you try to take, like, a Muay Thai, or, like...
No, so, I don't know if you ever seen the Ip Man movies.
I haven't. No.
Wing Chun.
The Wing Chun. Yeah, I looked that up. Like it's all like
they actually have classes for that here in Boston.
I think there's one like around the corner from here actually.
Really?
They
Yeah,
practice that in like some like kendo swordsmanship classes there.
Yeah, so I think just that style, because it's from what I understand, it's a style where your defense is just as important as your offense. It's almost like you fight and defend at the same time.
And also, it seems like it seems from what I understand. I tried like I watched the martial arts video talk a little bit like how much stuff briefly about how much styles, so I can understand look into more. Talking about how like another big thing is that like you may not be throwing a whole bunch of really hard punches, but it's not about hardy punch, but how many kind of overwhelming them with fists rather than giving them a whole bunch of hard
exactly.
shots.
Yeah, you're talking about Wing Chun, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and I've just always been fascinated by it. I just what's the word I'm looking for? I think it's just more humility, respectable, I guess. Two totally different words, I know.
Yeah.
But there's more humility in it, I think. It's not all about fighting and being the best, but just being the best that you can be.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Versus some, because like that's one of the things that like I kind of see in the UFC that kind of grew up to is that like people are like, whether they want to do is very humble. Like I always see people like they knock someone out, then like they'll do like their put up in the air to be like all hyped up, and then they go right back and be like, hey man, are you okay? You good? You good match? Like that, nothing but respect. And I that's one, and I respect, because another thing like I said before is like it's just fighting, just practicing your styles against each other to like a competitive degree. That's what fights are in my eyes to me. And whenever I see someone just being overly competitive, it just kind of turns me off. That's why like I get turned off by Conor McGregor. He just talks a lot of shit to me.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, I think he talked mad shit. But then you gotta wonder like how much of that is just. I
mean, I understand it's part of the show too. That's what brings people
exactly.
He's like, I looked it up. Like, he fought in the top. In 4 of the top 5 UFCs, and like, wow, I can understand why he's doing what he does, because he clearly brings in a lot of customers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of that Mayweather McGregor fight was definitely
lots of shit talking.
Yeah, but what's the word I'm looking for? I guess premeditated.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%.
Have you seen that Mayweather has now challenged McGregor to?
I think
cage fight.
I thought it was like
is that real? I haven't looked too much into it, but
my friend tagged me in something the other day, and I tried looked into it at work. I went to the bathroom at work just to like play my phone just to figure it out. If it's real. It's still just speculation, rumors, because like there was a comment he made like a few months ago that was going around saying, I never said I would fight in the ring, in the octagon, MMA, and whatnot. And then a couple other fighters told like if he is, I called dibs on him first. A couple people want it, but like
who want to fight McGregor in the?
No, who would want to fight Mayweather?
I mean Mayweather. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Well,
I think from watching the fight with Mayweather and McGregor that's a bad idea on Mayweather's part.
Yeah.
It's one thing to box, but cage fighting is a whole different animal.
Oh yeah, because there's less. Like one thing I didn't like about I don't think I can really get into boxing is there's like a lot of hugging. You know what I mean?
In boxing?
Yeah. I wasn't about that too much.
Well, I mean,
I understand like
stamina. You get tired going, 5, 6, 7, let alone 10, 12 rounds.
Well, I think what it is too is that like the hugging, but like the guy like it's kind of like, okay, break it up, break it. It seems like every 3 seconds the guy's like break it up.
Yeah, because I don't think I don't know the rules by memory of. I don't know them well, I guess is what I'm trying to say when it comes to boxing, but I don't think it's like gonna cost you a point or anything if you like do that stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily like they're not just gonna let them sit there and rest,
Yeah, because people paid for this. Give them a show.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules around that are, but now that you say that, is kind of a funny thing because they do it all the time.
So much like like ever since I saw like the Conor McGregor rise thing and noticing the other people, it's kind of like how many like I always try to notice like fair weather fans to things. You know what I mean? Like they're just there for the one thing. Like how many people were into the UFC because they loved Ronda Rousey, How many of those people? How many of those like people care about UFC now? After like no, now she's WWE. Were you
You're talking about everyone that was like all
like they
on the
like
bandwagon
like,
for
I
the
love
Mayweather-McGregor
UFC, but you love Conor McGregor. Like it's one of those things like you're not a fan of the art, you're a fan of the artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. I definitely think there was a lot of people out there like that, especially with the Mayweather and McGregor fight was such like a big deal. Or they made it into one anyway. The media did so, and that's why I say like how much of that was really McGregor talking shit. And
behind the scenes, you're like, yeah, you ready to give him a show? Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I mean, nothing but respect, right? And they all just kind of like hugging. I can imagine, like that's what I can imagine behind the scenes.
But and then on another side of that is the amount of money that they both got out of that, whether they won or lost.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
wait,
that makes you think too.
They're
it's
both
like
winners, and like if you really think about it, they
in a
both deserve
financial
money,
sense,
yeah.
absolutely, they both walked away with millions upon millions from that.
Yeah.
So you gotta wonder, like,
well, that's
a fight like that was so publicized and everything. Like, how much of that was actually real, and how much of it was, fake.
That's well, and also in that regard, similar to those regards, is that like I heard because apparently other fighters don't get paid nearly as much. I had asked like a lot to an average fighter in the UFC, even if they're like headlining is like $5,000 versus like
really,
yeah. That's kind of why I think Nate Diaz said like if you combine my checks for both my Conor McGregor fights, it's still less than what he made in one of those fights.
Say that again, sorry.
So like if Nate Diaz combined the money he got from fighting Gregor like those
I thought
two
you
times.
said you meant combined.
Oh yeah,
sorry, I misread that.
Oh yeah, if you combine the two, it's still less than what he made in one.
Yeah, that's nuts. I didn't know they got paid like that little.
That's why he's saying if I'm gonna get paid, if I'm gonna fight Conor McGregor again, I want at least like 5 mil, whatever, so much shit like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would too. I think McGregor walked away with like what? Don't quote me on this, but was it like 60 million or something like that?
From the Mayweather or with Nate Diaz?
Mayweather.
Oh, something like that for sure. And I always thought it was funny too. Like there are pictures because like I like trolling people who like Conor McGregor by showing them like the Nate Diaz choking him out because you're like, oh, he's a champion. I was like, what about then?
Yeah, right.
I just like I respectful like yes I never seen any really fight, so like that's cool, man. You won some fights. I don't doubt that you're a good fighter, but like the only reason I talk shit about Conor McGregor is that like he's like in like the new UFC game that came out, he's wearing 2 belts. He's gotten stripped of both those belts because he's never defended them. Because winning a title is half the battle for me. Defending it and winning makes you a real champion. So like he was never a real champion to me because he's never defended being a champion.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I mean, I'm into UFC, but I don't follow the artists per se too much.
I have a friend who's really into he watches every single one, even like the fight nights, and so like when we drive, I ask him a lot of questions about it, and that's what I am to understand. He never defended his titles, and even to me, that's just sketchy.
Yeah, and not just in fighting, but a lot of like.
In anything really, if you don't defend your title for something, like it's like how do you know you're really the best? You won. It's like you won a championship once. Like,
yeah, you were best. You were the best that day.
Yeah. But then about 2 days later after I trained, oh nope, now I'm the best. You can consistently that's why I really like the whole Mighty Mouse and the his weight division because he's defended it 14 times. Like to me, like that's a champion.
Yeah, for sure. If you can continuously defend that, absolutely.
Apparently, that he's since they introduced that weight class. Because my friend's also a big fan of him. He's been the only champion of that weight class.
It's a new weight class.
It's a newer weight classes than I guess what was initially up before. Like it wasn't one of the starting weight classes that started the UFC. So when they started it, he became the champion of that weight class, and then there's been no other champion. So
interesting.
So like right now, what they're doing is they're having a 2 super fights, I guess, where they're gonna have the champion of 2 different weight classes fight each other. So I know they're doing light heavyweight versus the heavyweight champion, and then the one who's
the light heavyweight versus the heavyweight champion.
Yeah, so I think it's.
I mean, I know it's not all about size, but when you put 2 trained fighters in front of each other like that, I think maybe kind of does come down to size a little bit.
Well, because I also talked to my friend. He talks about like, oh, yeah, some of these guys who are fighting at like 155, they walk around at 175, but like they, like they dehydrate themselves. They do so much to cut weight, and even though like they may be physically tougher than the guy next to them, their stamina is shit, and that's kind of what. But that's also means for the guy who isn't like who's normally at his weight, staying there. He's not like as stamina. He has more stamina than the guy who's cutting weight, so they will like last out longer or something. It's like that's also part of the strategy too. So that's why when you move weight classes, like that's like what's like I could be a great fighter at like 145. If I moved 155, I'm gonna get fucked up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
no, stamina is definitely a big aspect of fighting for sure.
And he's fighting like the guy who's like 10 pounds, like what? I don't know if they're gonna meet in the middle or if he's gonna go up, but it's just. It's kind of funny to me. It's like, he's so undefeatable in his weight class. They have to actually go up for him. He's another champion.
Yeah, I don't know. Featherweight versus heavyweight just seems.
Well, not featherweight. Oh, sorry. The light heavyweight versus heavyweight versus because a featherweight versus the heavyweight, it would be really intense.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about lightweight, heavyweight. I don't know all the.
Oh yeah, I
levels,
just
guess, so that's why
I just regurgitate what the posters tell me. That's why a lot of my UFC information is regurgitating what people whose information I trust tell me.
Yeah, same for me. So I don't know. I thought it was just like lightweight.
So I think a light heavyweight
lightweight
is up to like maybe 240, 235 or whatever.
Heavyweight?
Light heavyweight. So it's 230, 240, whatnot, and I think heavyweight is like 250 and up. So like it could be like, but I think in this case they're gonna meet in the middle. So I think the light heavyweight is just gonna put on more mass.
Okay, that makes more sense. Light heavyweight versus heavyweight. That makes more sense.
Then the guy who's like a super lightweight, like featherweight, I think is gonna go against not a welterweight, because like this is what's crazy. Like the strawweight, featherweight, like those both just seem really light.
There's a strawweight.
Yeah, this strawweight. The strawweight, featherweight.
Is that like 100 pounds?
Oh, dude. I think there's like 135 or 145. Because the only one I know, because I only know heavyweight, light heavyweight, welterweight, featherweight, strawweight, and I'm pretty sure there are a couple other ones like I'm forgetting. But it's just so many weight classes.
I guess I'm not that into UFC and fighting as I thought I was. I didn't know there were that many.
Yeah, just because like I would say, hey, why did this fight this fighter? Oh yeah, they're different weight classes. Okay. How about these two fighters? Different weight classes. Because also because that's why the people have the terms pound for pound fighters, because it's because you can't have everyone fight, because you can't have the 145 fight the 250, because that's Mario fighting Bowser.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, and that's where I got confused, I guess, because I thought that's where you were going with that, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right to me. Like I know they're both great fighters, whoever would fight in that fight, but I think size kind of comes down to it when you're both very trained fighters.
That's why. That's what the appeal of jiu-jitsu is, because like if you like get into like some type of street fight or whatever, somebody like tries messing with you, even if they're bigger, jiu-jitsu is like, oh, you get them on the ground, you kind of like grapple them if you feel like you can't strike them down. Yeah,
for sure. No, there are definitely advantages to being small in a fight like that. Yeah.
But one of the I think I mentioned before, like one of the things I don't like about jiu-jitsu, like if I were to go to like a jiu-jitsu place and learn jiu-jitsu, is it's all gi, and what you have to and it involves gi grab, which I don't like. To me, realistically, is like your shirt, like you take your shirt off and fight me, or like I could rip your shirt and that gi grab isn't gonna be good.
So what is gi grab? Just
so like
grabbing
they grabbing like their gi and stuff, like apprentice make them grab like by the collar.
Right. That's the uniform they wear, the gi. Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Like uniform, yeah. And the one who tailored his jiu-jitsu for UFC, that they dropped the gi, and that's another and Joe Rogan was defending him. Wow, going back full circle, and because they thought that was disrespectful, and that's kind of like what I'm looking for in martial arts too. Like even though I see guys fighting on screens, like no, I would like those skills just out of like self-defense. Like I'm not like people think, oh, you want to go out and like fight, you want to like start. I'm like no. So God forbid something starts somewhere with me, I would like to be able to defend myself, like rather than surprise people. In the art of war is like, look weak. If you're strong, look weak, and so people won't mess because it's
element of surprise. Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's funny we talk about that in like the military and stuff too. The element of surprise is valuable beyond any mean. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what word I'm trying to look for there, but it's valuable.
It's crazy how like the Art of War is written like 500 BC and how like relevant it is still today. Like they were talking about spies in that book.
Yeah, I've read it a few times, but it's for me it's very hard to understand, so I don't have a grasp on all of it yet. But
it's all this weird
it's a good book.
Well, also what's crazy about it too is that the original Art of War, written by the actual Sun Tzu, got burned. It got actually destroyed. So the translations we have were translated by Chinamen throughout history, and every time they translate it, they throw in their 2 cents every time they do it, and also they take some stuff out. So essentially, the Art of War we have is half corrupted and unfinished.
That I did not know.
Yeah, and my grandmother got me for my for Christmas because I was like, I know it's because I would listen to this podcast called Jocko Podcast, and they talk about books.
I haven't heard that one.
It's he's like a former Marine guy, and he kind of talks about discipline. He has a book called it's a really good book, but he's like a very like stern guy. He's on I would recommend looking up the Joe Rogan Jocko episode because he was on one there.
Okay.
Today, new Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's great, and also they might lead to his podcast because he's a really cool guy.
For sure.
But he talked about that, and that's how I got that Art of War book, and then 5 Rings book, which is from that Musashi guy I was talking about, the 2 swords. He wrote a book about how like the swordsmanship, the way of life, and it's crazy when you see some of this stuff like thousands of years ago. I mean, for Art of War, then 1,500 years ago. So for the samurai book, and how it's relevant. That teaching and that knowledge way of thinking is still like relevant today because people think, oh yeah, we're so much evolved, like maybe all around us, but like at the core, some things never change.
Yeah. Technology wise, I think we're I don't know. That's some people will beg to differ on that too. If you go far back in history, talk about like the pyramids and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's I love looking at conspiracy theories about that stuff because like even when I learned about it in high school, it just seems sketchy. Like, how long did it take him to build that pyramid? Because clearly, if they started it when like he became pharaoh, like in his 20s, and then he died like 5 years later, I don't think they're gonna finish that goddamn pyramid.
No, I think it's really conspiracy theories have always like interested me as well, but it's so hard, especially nowadays with all the technology and like everything that we have at our fingertips as far as information. But because of that, there's so much misinformation because anybody can put their opinion out there.
Yeah, that's why that's why I get skeptical of everyone posting like one most only thing on Facebook for me is kind of like, oh hey, look at this fact. I'm like, have you seen who posted that? This is like somebody's Tumblr page. How accurate is this? Where is their source? Like, I mean, it sucks that we're at such an age where we're like, hey, what's the information? Yeah, I don't believe your information is not credible to me. Versus before, it's like, yeah, you watch the news. And it's like, oh yeah, well I trust this information because this is like official information. They wouldn't lie to me. Now it's like, yep, everyone has an agenda. Like, not saying there was less before, but like, it's just I feel like it's gotten out of hand. Or everyone's just talking shit in news. Like there's no, especially with like online journalism. Journalism.
Yeah. I know what you meant by that. Yeah.
It's just so it's like, oh yeah, like half of articles I read nowadays are half like opinion based and half information. It's like, just give me the information, right? Keep your opinions for later. Some people just want to know information, grab their own opinion about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. There are a lot of, like I said, there's just so many opinions out there now. I mean, look at the school shootings. There's,
so many
supposedly 18 school shootings since the beginning of 2018. But if you really look deep into it, not all of those would really constitute labeled correctly. I don't know why I said constitute, but I don't think they were labeled correctly because one of them is like some guy just went to a school that had been closed for like a decade or more and committed suicide, and they're counting that as like a mass school shooting.
Well, what's crazy I found out is that like when you see like this is a total gun deaths per year, is like, yeah, you include they include all the gun-based suicides, right? And that's like, fuck, that's dishonest. You're saying, oh yeah, look, all these monsters out there. It's like most of these people are depressed, they killed themselves. That's your because it's unfair to add those suicides. I mean, like
I agree.
if even if half those people are serious enough, they would find another way to kill themselves. You can't just blame, you know.
Well, that's what the big argument was like. You know, and I know a weapon isn't really like a tool in the general sense that like a hammer is a tool, but you know, you're right. Like if there weren't guns, then
They'd find something.
you know, kill someone with a hammer. I mean, there's been murders caused. I know of someone in my town, a few years back, like murdered the whole family with a hammer or a knife or whatever it was. Regardless, it wasn't a gun. You know, was the point.
You know, this could be more fake news, but I read somewhere about a statistic from like you know, it come from like an actual like USA Today and New York Times, saying that there's been more knife deaths than there has like firearm deaths in the past handful of years. I've also heard that since I can't remember if it was the RV attack in the UK after the Ariana Grande bombing, or if it was somebody said something happened in Paris. But ever since like somebody plowed people down with their van, that's been uprising. People saying, and since they publicized like, oh yeah, well I can kill people just by like driving my car through people. And so you saw it in New York, you saw it at that like alt-right rally thing too.
Yeah,
it's just it really is a crazy time, man.
It is. It's like. I don't know if great time is the way to describe it, but it's
there's good and bad. I mean, that's how like I feel like the crazy things are a lot crazy. Like if you told me like 10 years ago, it's like yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of dudes with torches saying a whole bunch of fucked up things going through a town. Like I'm like with swastikas, like I don't believe you. We fought Nazis, and then you see all these people, and you know like that. Like I remember like seeing that like oh this has to be a joke. This has to be like why are all these people like repping like these swastikas up?
Yeah, and then I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm kind of big on conspiracy theories, so I don't know how much of that is media driven either. You know, and that's the big thing about the information age that we're in is it's very, 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 very easy to get misinformation, even for a journalist that thinks they're you know, putting out the right facts and stuff like that. Sometimes they're being deceived by others, you know, especially like the big, you know, Fox News and stuff like that, the anchors and stuff, the stories that they tell. Like,
I also just kind of like judged how things are going, even on like a social level. Like, there was this. I used to like him more before, but like he's kind of gotten over too much. But you ever like that Milo Yiannopoulos guy? He's
the who?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
No.
He was just like journalist in the UK. He's like this gay conservative dude who's now married to a black dude. But people say he's racist, he's anti-Semitic because he was born Jewish, became Catholic. Now he's all these things, but because of this kind of some drop of fact, he's like he drops a whole bunch of facts about feminists that feminists don't like. You know, they're like debating. So like he's really like offensive in the debates. Then now he's like become like overly provocative because of a provocateur or whatever. But there was like whole thing about him where people were like, oh yeah, he supports pedophilia, and they took an old podcast he had done like 2 years ago, and they mixed his words around and make it seem like so they cut the video up. So essentially, what happened was like when he was like six. Wow, that's crazy. But like he was like 13. He was like, yeah, I was sexually offended 13. I went to my Catholic priests and did things with them, and then he made jokes about it. He wasn't, and so then he later on talked about like, yeah, but I was like 18. I dated someone who was like 27 because I was dating some weird age consent thing. Yeah, 18 age consent in the UK, whatever. It's like yeah, dating an older man really helped me get through my life. So they mixed those two stories up, saying, oh, he said older men helped him, and he was also talking about how he was being molested by these Catholic priests. So they use like two half take split a fact in half and combine them. It's like that's
it's the way the content was delivered. You know, and it's so easy nowadays to like, you know, for instance, within this podcast, you could probably you can cut some stuff out and you know, deliver the content or context however you like, you know, and that's a big problem, I think.
Well, that's why, you know, you ever see those Now videos, like Now This or Now Media, whatever.
TMZ and
well, there's this.
Is it TMZ? I think.
Well, TMZ is like that was like the celebrity one.
Yeah.
But there's this thing called Now Politics. That's kind of like a very like democratic liberal like based.
Yeah, you see the
fact,
videos on Facebook
all the time.
right?
So they were showing one where, like, look how fucked up Trump, like all these fucked up Trump said during this thing. I watched the video before, I'm like, oh, wow, this is terrible. A week later, there's a video going around, and there's this Indian guy who's like, yeah, I saw this video of Trump from Now Politics, and it seems terrible. But then I went to the actual video, and then like things that he was saying weren't bad at all, but they literally just cut all these things to make Trump look worse.
Yeah, they put it out of context. Exactly.
Because like, also I like to say too, like, I didn't vote because I didn't feel like Hillary or Trump just represent any values, so I didn't. But because I make so many Trump jokes, people are like, oh, you like Trump, you're a racist. Like, no, I laugh. I don't agree with. I didn't vote for him. I just think I laugh at things he says.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a commodity. Like I don't know, man. Like like people are like, why didn't you vote for Hillary? He's like, well, how could I trust someone who screwed over old man Birdie? Like there was like there's like
I didn't agree. I didn't vote either. And I don't agree with either candidate. But sorry, I don't mean to be like vague right now in this section of it. I never really get too much into politics. Cause
I mean, neither. I say, but I always scratch surface like when it comes down to talking details, I don't, because I used to like when shortly after Trump, I like people like talking about all like getting super into politics. I'm just kind of like, and like every time I want to throw a vote in there, like, well, I gotta make sure I'm factually correct, and got to a point like, fuck it, don't even want to talk about it. So I just say vague. Like, neutral things.
And I feel like also, I don't know, I don't really follow politics, so that's a big reason why I don't really speak on the subject, because I'm not well versed in it. But I also feel like that I don't know, the way politics works, and even if you do intelligently express your opinion and facts, someone will always find some way of arguing that with you.
Exactly, and people, it seems like people can't accept that nowadays, and people have to like yell about it, like, well, how dare you? Just like, I think the problem that I have with people, especially on social media, is that people state their opinions as if they were facts.
Yes,
that's the thing that's just kind of bothering me. So it's like the thing that bothers me about the elections after Trump got elected is the people are saying that all the people who didn't vote, it's just as much as your fault that Trump is in office as the people who voted for Trump. I'm like, hold on a second. That's extremely unfair. Why the fuck would you say that?
And here's my opinion on that, and I agree with you, is the Electoral College, which I don't completely understand how it works, but the gist of what I understand is it's there because, say Rhode Island's population has something to do with the population, I guess. Like, California is like, what, hundreds of times the size of Rhode Island,
yeah.
So California always has a better chance at getting the candidate that they all vote for, as opposed to Rhode Island. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I expressed that intelligently enough, but that strikes me as odd because what I've heard about our political system is that every vote counts, and the way I saw, especially this last election, that there were Trump supporters and Hillary supporters in every state. And I just feel like, regardless of where you come from, I mean, if you're brought up in a different environment than somebody else, then you're going to have different opinions on certain things than somebody else. But that's universal across any state that you're in. And I just feel that everybody's vote really should count. But if you add the Electoral College in there, then and I don't know how the Electoral Colleges come up with their decisions, but ultimately I just feel like my vote doesn't really count anyway then.
Yeah. It's versus just and also the problem with that too is like when you see like a certain state voted, like, oh, this state voted Trump, and like, oh, everyone in that state's like a shitty person, like, they must be racist, they must be this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And they make these things, make these like shitty assumptions. Like that's kind of the thing that, like, that's bothered about this whole like political area, like, time we're in, because like I watch South Park a lot. South Park's my favorite show, and I think they captured it great in one episode where it starts off, everyone's watching Jimmy Kimmel, and he just starts ripping on the whole state or the whole city of South Park saying, yeah, there are a whole bunch of hicks, there are a whole bunch of this, that, and the other talking shit just because they helped. Oh, it's because where President Garrison came from. President Garrison was supposed to be President Trump. So they say, oh, it's because this guy is like this and came from that area. That whole town must be full of like really ignorant hicks like him. And they're all watching TV, and then and then it goes to the next scene, which is the next day, and everyone's all down and depressed. And like, dude, he just talked a whole bunch of shit about us. Like, they don't even know. Just because one shitty guy comes from here, where we're automatically now all shitty people, and that's kind of how I felt about it. And they even did another episode where, in terms of talking about people who voted for Trump who regret that, and they just start talking shit. And so like this girl used to date that like the fat kid Cartman in the show. She dated Cartman. She broke up with him, and she's hanging with her friends again because she was always with him. And it's like, oh yeah, how could you kiss him? Yeah, you were so stupid. Yeah, and like how dare, like you were so dumb at the time. And then she gets all sad, like, but that's what I believed in. And when she realized she was sick of them talking shit to her, so she, instead of staying broken up with the abusive boyfriend, she went back to him to double down, like, yeah, this is what I believed in, and you're talking shit about me beforehand. I don't like you talking shit. Doubling down, I do love him. So it's just some of the people saying, oh, I like Donald Trump, don't even really like Donald Trump, but so many people talking shit about what the mistake they made, they're just doubling down on it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that.
God damn, there's just so... Fuck politics. Overall.
Yeah, I know. Politics is a touchy subject with me. Not because like I feel one way or another about candidates, but I just...
People just... It's so deep and like... It's at the end of the day, it's overheads. But you know what's overheads? Music. What have you been listening to?
What have I been listening to?
Yeah.
Oh, man, well, I mean, I started the wedding DJ business. I don't know if you knew that. So I've just been kind of listening to, like, a lot of pop radio stuff, really, like cliche crap. I
haven't listened to radio in so long just because, like, no card, no, like, I only listen to, like, Spotify. So, like, what are the top songs? So, like, I feel like I can't make a comment on, like, what's popular music today because I just don't know what it is. Like, a lot of, like...
And it's subject to opinion, I think, too, what's popular nowadays.
Like, what are, like, the top 40
music
hits?
Nowadays?
I mean, yeah, 100%, yeah. But what's the top 40 songs right now that you be playing?
The top 40?
And, like, on, like, the radio, on top, like what are the top songs? Like, what are the songs you play a lot? Out of, like...
For my own pleasure,
yeah,
I like, I've been listening to a lot of, like, the Eagles and classic rock and stuff like that. Steve Miller Band, Stevie Ray Vaughan, stuff like that. Yeah, Black Sabbath, absolutely.
Oh, I was just doing another tour. Saw that.
Really, I didn't see that.
No,
I don't watch too much TV or news nowadays, so I'm kind of like out of the loop when it comes to current events. I guess.
Like because that's why I hate going to. That's why I try to stay off Facebook. Because it's the only way. Like, I don't have cable or I don't watch. Like, that's why I don't watch. I just only go to where I want to go. So when I scroll through Facebook, everyone's a politician nowadays, and that's why I do that. And that's why everyone.
Yep.
That's why I get all my news. So I only see what people post. That's why I like so much bullshit going on. But with music though, that's one of the things I try to flood my Facebook with. So I try to follow all like the artists. So I follow Ozzy. Try to see as much of his posts. I try to see as much any musician's post. So, social media needs to change. Sorry, I brought that back up.
No, that's all right, man. That's right. I know. We're getting kind of all over the place here now. Actually, I mean, I don't mean to cut you short, but I didn't realize we were gonna go this long either.
I do. I just kind of go. You need to be out of here by a certain time, man.
Yeah, I need to go soon. I got obligations and stuff this afternoon.
Oh, dude, we can this right now, man. Like, let me see how long we've been doing this.
Yeah, that's why I kept watching the clock there. We had 90 minutes.
It looks like 95 minutes. Holy shit!
Damn, it's a long podcast.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So you just want to end it here then?
Fuck yeah, man. I'm happy. I'm really happy, came, man. Like, I haven't seen you so long, years.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm happy I came too, dude. I definitely want to do this again, for sure.
Fuck yeah, dude. So, for everyone listening, because I also forget sometimes we're actually recording.
Yeah,
for
right.
Release. But yeah, this is Casual Conversations. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks for having me, guys.